Hi from the Blue Room, welcome back. I'm so glad you guys are here. So I wanted to talk about my experience as a nurse. When I was a brand new nurse, I started out in the ER, went right from nursing school into the ER, and saw all kinds of wonderful, amazing, horrific, traumatic type of things, right? Got to see the worst that we can do to each other as humans, and I also got to see the beauty in healthcare providers and first responders and how they give so much of themselves to try to help others around them. It was a beautiful experience. And then from that point on, I went into a hospice role, and hospice was in the patient's home, so I wasn't going to a facility, and I wasn't like stationed in a hospital. I drove a ton and went to different people's houses, and I started to witness people as they were transitioning into the active phase of dying. And part of this transition is they they have conversations with people that only they can see. And it got to where I was seeing this so often that I started to prepare families for it. Look, when your loved one is approaching the end of their life, they're going to have a conversation with somebody that only they can see. This isn't anything to be worried about as long as the patient seems comfortable with it. Not every patient that I encountered, and I didn't share this, but I'll share it with you. Not every patient that I encountered this experience with was pleasant, and I think that there's probably a reason for that. And the reason I'm sharing all of this is that this is kind of what spurned the me seeking some more information about faith, right? So I had multiple patients on multiple occasions who would tell me about their loved one who was in the room with them that only they could see. And it made me uncomfortable at first because, again, I was pretty angry at God. And then I had an experience where it was a patient who I knew and liked, and we had a good relationship. I also knew he wasn't on any mind-altering medications, whether it was for pain or symptom management. And he also didn't have a disease process that would necessarily make him have hallucinations or become very confused. So this gentleman, who was still up and walking around, was able to tell me about the gentleman who was in the living room with him. This gentleman, we'll call him Bob. So he was like, Bob's here, and Bob says that there is a party for me today. And he was so excited about this party. He's like it's time for me to go. Everybody's waiting. And I said to his wife, is there a party today? And she goes, no. Why? And I said, well, we'll call him Frank. Frank says that there's a party today, and that Bob is here telling him it's time to go. And she starts bawling. And I was like, you want to tell me what's going on? And she said, Bob is my brother, and he passed away when we were younger. Like, we were in our early 20s. And at this point, they're in their late 70s, early 80s. And she's like, Bob and Frank were best friends. That's how I met my husband, was they were best friends. And he died unexpectedly. And I said, oh, well, okay, so I'm not going anywhere for a while because clearly there's something going on here. And so throughout the course of a couple of hours, Frank is telling me that what Bob's wearing, what Bob looks like, and at this point, the wife is so over the moon happy that her baby brother is coming to take her husband to heaven, right? Now, she had a very, very strong attachment to her religion and her faith. It was a huge part of her life. And I remember him saying to me once, I let her do it because if I don't let her do it, then she nags me about going with her. And as long as I just leave it be, she leaves me be. And I'm like, well, that seems like a very unhealthy relationship, but not my place to judge. Anyways, so Frank wasn't down for church in any organized fashion. I don't know what his core beliefs were because we never really had that conversation. He didn't like to talk about it. He didn't like to talk about end of life. Some patients really need to work through some stuff and have a lot of conversations. Other patients don't want to. It's like a denial. So anyway, Frank was like, hey, I gotta go because Bob's saying it's time to go, and I don't want to keep everybody waiting. And he was so excited to go, and this party was for him. And I don't think at that point that he realized that this party wasn't here, that it was in a very long time. Um, so he decided it was time for him to go and sat down in his chair and proceeded to go very quickly. It was remarkable, and it rocked my world. I didn't know what to do with this information. I felt like I had conclusive proof that there is more to us than this life, right? There's more to us than what's on this planet. And I had a really hard time reconciling it. And so, in my eagerness to figure it out, I went to a little small town church and I asked the pastor, hey, I have a story to tell you, and it's really amazing. And like, I'm fired up. Like, we need to like call NBC News. People need to know about this. Like, this will change everything for everyone. If everyone just was able to like know this little bit of information, just as like this is a game changer. And the pastor was like, meh, yeah, okay. Nothing. Like nothing. No pastoral like counseling, no encouragement, no relationship, no advice, no theological conversations, just oh, okay. And to be fair, I may have come across as a completely crazy person because I was like fired up about this information. Like, call 911, get all the news people here. Like, we need to alert everyone around the world. This is huge. Like this is huge. This is proof. Like rock solid. I am not a believer, and now I believe in something, but I don't know what I believe in because it's just something. So I go to then another church, and this is like one of the side of the road rock and roll in a pole barn type setting church. Come as you are. It's more about the music and the entertainment than it is about like a structured faith. That was my perception. I'm like, these guys are going to be like down to hear this. Like, they're going to be so jacked about it. So I go in and I'm telling this guy, and I know I sound like a crazy person, and I'm not. This isn't like religiosity. This isn't like I'm not having a stroke or a mental breakdown. I'm so excited. Like, I have this information and I want to share it. And he goes, I'm not even kidding. Flat, no affect. Just, well, what are you going to do with that? Like, what are you going to do with that information? What do you mean, what am I going to do with that information? Like, did you just hear me tell you? We need to tell everyone. Everyone. And I think probably in his head, he's like, yeah, I do that every Sunday, right? But like, he had to know in the way I was telling him. I didn't know what the hell I just saw, but I knew I saw something important. So, I felt like I got kind of squashed out, and then I'm like, okay, so people aren't responding to this the way I expected them to respond to it. And like, even my peers that I was friends with, I tried telling them about it, and they're like, yeah, that happens all the time. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. He was able to like verbalize every conversation and like every aspect of everything. Like, just short of saying, I am dying now and this is what it looks like, right? Like, he shared everything. And so I squashed it down. I put it in a little box and I carried it around in my heart for a while because I had a lot of questions, but I didn't know who to ask or how to ask. And this was probably 5 years. Like, I just held on to this information. I no longer talked about it with anybody. I thought about it a lot. I tried to do like research on it, limited, obviously, because I mean, I was still working and raising kids on my own, and life was chaotic, and I was in an abusive relationship, and everything was upside down, and nothing was going right. But I had this like an ember when you're just starting a fire, right? Like, I had this little flame starting, and I just felt like if someone would just engage me in this, that fire would take off. But I didn't really know how to fan the flames, right? I didn't know how to like dump fuel on it. I didn't know. But it started me asking questions, and it started me looking things up, and it started me reading some things. And I read a lot, and I couldn't get answers. And I couldn't get any answers because I felt like at that point I had some introspective moments and realized that I was broken. I don't think I fathomed how broken I was, but I knew there was something missing from the core of what made me me. And I knew that I had cracks and crevices and like bumps and bruises on the inside of what was me, not necessarily the outside. The outside, I was really good at playing off everything. Like, my life is great, I'm so happy, I couldn't be more content with my life when just the opposite was really true. And so for 5 years or more, I downplayed all of this, and I kept asking questions, but I wasn't asking the right questions, and I wasn't asking them from the right people. Um, and that will take us to our next episode. So stay tuned. We're really going to get next part to how God literally hit me in the head with a 2x4 so that I would understand. And it was not the last time he did it, but it was definitely the first time. And again, rocked my world. Like my life was in a snow globe, he took it upside down, gave it a really good shake, and stood it back up, and I just got to watch everything fall. So that'll come to you next time. Be safe, be well, and goodbye from the Blue Room. Toodaloo.